Welcome, everyone. Good to have you all here today.
Woo!
What a beautiful day to kick off this week for our Fair Share Amendment campaign.
Woo!
My name is Dax Crocker, and I am the Grassroots Coordinator for Coalition for Social Justice. I will be your MC today. Before we get started, we have breaking news. The Massachusetts legislature just announced that they will hold a vote this Wednesday for the Fair Share Amendment.
Woo!
Yeah! The big deal. As you may know, before the Fair Share Amendment can be placed on the 2022 ballot, it must be brought up for a vote in the Massachusetts Constitutional Convention twice. Already been won. And receive a yes vote of 50 plus 1. In 2019, our amendment passed its first con with a 75% yes.
Woo!
So this is great news. This Wednesday, June 9th, Constitutional Convention vote is our last hurdle before the Fair Share Amendment is officially placed on the ballot next year.
Woo!
The Fair Share Amendment campaign is run by Raise Up Massachusetts. Raise Up is a coalition of community organizations, faith-based groups, and labor unions committed to building an economy that invests in families, gives everyone an opportunity to succeed, and creates broadly shared prosperity for everyone.
Woo!
Yeah. Since our coalition came together in 2013, we have nearly doubled wages for hundreds of thousands of people by winning 2 increases in the state's minimum wage. We won best in the nation, earned sick time and paid
Yes.
family and medical leave benefits for workers and their families.
Woo!
And most recently, we won emergency paid sick time for COVID-related issues. Thank you, everyone, for advocating and for making all of this happen. Thank you. The Fair Share Amendment would amend the Massachusetts Constitution to create an additional tax of 4 percentage points on the portion of a person's individual income over 1 million. Under 1 million, they'll pay the same as everybody. Over 1 million, 4% increase. The reason for this is that the Massachusetts Constitution right now only allows for a flat tax rate. So we all pay the same percentage. We cannot increase the taxes on anyone right now. The amendment will allow us to tax the rich at a higher rate so they pay their fair share. Amen to that. This new revenue will be dedicated to quality public education and affordable public colleges and universities, and for the repair of and maintenance of roads, bridges, and public transportation. These are all services that are vital to the success of our states and our economy. Today, we will hear from members of our community, including representatives from our faith and labor allies, and from our elected officials about why we so urgently need to pass the Fair Share Amendment and all the good that we know it will do for our commonwealth. If you are here today, how many have your cell phones with you? Cell phone? Yeah? If you're here today, you can use your cell phone by scanning the code of the flyer that we're passing so that you can sign the pledge to support the Fair Share Amendment.
Woo!
All right? Now we're going to hear from Dr. Helen Flavin. Dr. Helen is from United Interfaith Action. Dr. Flavin is a scientist, educator, and a member of the religious organization Providence Associates. Dr. Flavin.
I was born and raised in Fall River. I'm a Durfee alumni. One of the things I remember from all of my education at Durfee kind of resonated with spiritual tradition. More will be required from those to move forward with tradition. No matter which spiritual faith or tradition you look at, there always is a call to take care of one another. And the words may express it differently, but the words mean take care of your neighbor just as you would take care of yourself. Let's take a look for imagery at the Bette Midler song. Have you ever heard the song From a Distance? And listen to the words. From a distance, the earth looks blue and green, and the mountaintops white. From a distance, there's no one in need. What I'd like to challenge the state of Massachusetts to do is to lead the United States back in our recovery from the pandemic world. Let's work together to make that a reality. Let's bring back or recreate even better than what we had before pandemic lockdown. And if you still need one more image to consider or to convince someone, think about A Christmas Carol or Scrooge. Jacob Marley, with all those chains that he built from his wealth and not caring when he comes back, talking to Scrooge. Or even Grinch, looking down at Whoville. Each of the two of them was isolated by their wealth. Instead of sharing and making community connections. That's what each of us is called to do. Let's give a little gentle nudge to some of the richer folks in Massachusetts. Give them an opportunity to bust some of those chains and make the world a better place. Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you, Dr. Flavin. And now, Rebecca Cusick, President of the Fall River Educators Association.
Woo!
When I first signed on to the Fair Share petition, it was because I thought of it as an investment in our future. And I want you to think for a minute about what you think of as a successful business. Successful businesses take money and they invest it in equipment, employees, and resources that they need to grow their business. And we all said, wow, look at that. Well, why don't we do the same thing for the public good? We're going to benefit everybody in our community. And what that means in education is it means our schools have a revenue source. And we no longer have to worry about layoffs from year to year. We don't have to have kids sitting in classrooms at 95 degrees because there's no air conditioning. And we can't put the infrastructure up, right? It means that our kids have more opportunities, more courses, and it's the great equalizer, right? It's the great equalizer in the cornerstone of our democracy. So it's outside of Massachusetts and the let's just get it done. We all know it has to be.
Woo!
Thank you. And now, Sabrina Davis with Coalition for Social Justice. Sabrina has been an organizer for public transportation.
Every time I hit a pothole, I worry about damaging my car and fixing it. Massachusetts has a large backlog of neglected and structurally compromised bridges, tunnels, roads, paths, and public transportation infrastructure that are all in need of repair. These problems will only get more dangerous and more expensive to solve in the future. Right now, a transportation network is stuck in the last century. We need to invest in modern, reliable transportation, safe roads and bridges, public transportation networks, and safer ways to walk and bike around town. To combat climate change over the coming decades, we need to dramatically improve and expand our public transit system, while also greatly expanding the state's network of charging stations for electric cars. And that's what we need the Fair Share Amendment. Passing the Fair Share Amendment would generate funds that invest in our transportation system. Investing in our transportation system means thinking about people all around the state and providing better transportation options allow all of us to seek better opportunities that will improve our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. And now we will hear brief statements from community-based leaders and activists to localize the fight and to bring the perspective of working people. First up is Lisa Lemieux, my friend and president of the Greater Southeastern Massachusetts Labor Council.
I'm here representing over 40 unions, over 40,000 workers across southeastern Massachusetts who are standing in solidarity with the Fair Share Amendment because we know that this is what our communities need to support our communities. This is going to help organized or unorganized workers. It doesn't matter what kind of worker you are. It doesn't matter even people who don't work, right? We still need good schools and we need teachers and we need people to be able to get back and forth to the grocery store to get food. So we absolutely stand in solidarity with the Fair Share Amendment, and we have faith that we're going to get this done this time, and we're going to see these changes, and we're going to get this additional funding that our cities and towns desperately need. Thank you all for being here, and keep showing up.
Robert Pitsley from 350 Mass. Here. Yeah. Come on, Robert.
Hey everybody, good to see you all. Robert Michael Pitsley from Massachusetts. We are a group of concerned environmentalists who are trying to fight for a better future, and part of what we see for that better future is renewable transportation, which is equitable for all of our communities. We also want to strengthen our local food systems, provide people in South Coast Massachusetts transportation so they can get food access. And lastly, we want environmental protection. This is a beautiful part of Massachusetts, and we need our wealthy shareholders and corporations to be able to pay into this part of the state. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. And let's go. Let's keep this going for the Fair Share Amendment to raise up Massachusetts.
Thank you, Robert. And now we got Jim Pimentel, organizer for Bricklayers Local 3 and Southeastern Mass Building Trades.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Bricklayers Union and the Building Trades, it's obvious why we support the Fair Share Amendment. It's going to create thousands of good-paying, family-sustaining, prevailing wage construction jobs throughout the Commonwealth. The other obvious reason is ask yourself, how many potholes did you drive over on the way here?
Innumerable.
I always scratch my head when I think about the fact that Massachusetts is more progressive than the nation as a whole, and yet the country has a more progressive income tax than Massachusetts does. I just don't get it. It's time for millionaires to pay their fair share.
$14.99.
Thank you very much. Before I start, I just got to do a shout out to my brothers and sisters from 1357. Get on the line for all of us. Look, this bill, this amendment is so important to us. We represent 70,000 healthcare workers across the spectrum: hospitals, nursing homes, home health, and home care. We're here in a minute. We've seen the safety net, the alleged safety net, just shatter under the last year. What we've gone through that. Before then, we needed more revenue to bring up the bottom, as everybody else has mentioned. After this last year, it's so obvious. We need to build the safety net. We need to rebuild it and bring it up. This amendment brings in the resources. The millionaires in this state, it's time for them to pay their fair share. They did fine for the most part through the pandemic. It's time for them to pay their fair share. I want to hear from one of our members, PCA here in Fall River, and a leader in our community, Sophia.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Sophia. And now, Judy Conrad from Our Revolution, Fall River.
Our revolution started with Bernie Sanders, and we've got Our Revolution National, and we've got Our Revolution Massachusetts, where I'm the chair of the Working Poor Caucus. And believe me, the Working Poor Caucus is very much in favor of the Fair Share Amendment. And I'm also a facilitator for Our Revolution Greater Fall River. And we just wanted to express our solidarity with those of you who are working for the Fair Share Amendment, because what we need is to tax the rich and get things to the poor that they need.
Thank you, Judy. And now, Lisa Thiel from Massachusetts Nurses Association.
Yay, nurses!
We've seen firsthand during this pandemic when hunger, poverty, lack of access to services like prenatal care, as well as behavioral health is done. It is time today to stand up to those millionaires and say it's time. Pay your fair share. We need it now. Thank you. We stand together.
Now we're going to give a series of shout-outs to people who are important and present in this place. The Steel Workers 1357, Joe Oliveira. Joe Constancia, Labor Council 610. Rachel Cabral, Painters DC 35. Ronnie Ruana, Local 330, Carpenters. Yay. And now we go to our elected officials who are here to support the Fair Share Amendment. Before they speak, we are going to witness them walk to the back, right over here. You want to lift it up? We printed a large pledge card for them to sign and say, yes, I will vote yes, and I will do what I can to make sure the Fair Share Amendment passes. So we have State Representative Alan Sylvia. You're going to sign right now. Let's give Representative Alan Sylvia a round of applause. Representative Sylvia, we would like to ask you now that you go back to the State House, rally your colleagues, bend their arms and get them to vote yes.
I will.
And then go back home, bring this to your constituents, educate them, so next year they vote yes on the ballot.
Thank you. So for, how many people are happy the ice cream truck left? That jingle is going to stay in my head tonight around 7 o'clock. Anyway, Deb Fastino told me I should keep my remarks to around 45 minutes, so that's what I'm planning on doing. Anyway, I want to say a couple of things because I heard potholes, and I really dislike potholes, and I really dislike taxes. But I think taxes paid by the average person, the average working person, they pay their fair share. Yeah. You know, 5 years ago, I sat in the Ways and Means hearing, and I listened to at least 15 multi-millionaires come before us, and not one of them said that they would be opposed to paying the additional 4%. So we have this impression that all of these millionaires don't want to pay. Well, I'm sure there are some that don't want to pay. Nobody wants to pay. But they're willing to pay most of it. And we're going to take it. We're going to take it because, as you just heard about our infrastructure, our roads, our education, I'll repeat it twice. This is where we need to be sure that we have those resources available. And you know, people have said to me, well, you know, they're going to move out of the state. That's not true. I want you to know, because I had some conversation with some of those people. Not that any of them live in my district, because from this bridge all the way to Tiverton, Rhode Island, I don't have one millionaire in my district who earns more than $1 million a year. This is an easy vote for me. In 30 hours from now, I'm going to be voting yes. Yeah. And I know that we're going to at least get that 75% that we had last year for the Con-Con. And this will be on the ballot in the fall. I want to thank everybody.